The Galactic Ultimatum, an emergency session of the Galactic Trade Consortium, convened in the crystalline halls of Nexus Prime, the massive space station that served as the galaxy's economic heart. Representatives from 43 species gathered. Around the circular chamber, their various forms, creating a tapestry of alien diversity. The air hummed with tension as translators worked overtime to bridge the gap between countless languages and thought patterns. At the center of the assembly, High Mediator Krell of the Vorthic Empire raised his forearms for silence. His insectoid features gleamed under the artificial lights as he addressed the gathering. Fellow beings of the consortium, we face an unprecedented challenge. The humans of Earth have developed technology that threatens the very foundation of our galactic economy. A holographic display materialized above the chamber, showing Earth's recent technological achievements. Advanced artificial intelligence systems, quantum processors, and neural interfaces that far surpassed anything the galaxy had seen. The assembled aliens shifted uncomfortably as the implications became clear. Their AI technology, continued Krell, has rendered our traditional computational systems obsolete. Trade routes that have existed for millennia are now worthless. Entire industries face collapse as human innovations flood the market. Ambassador Chun Wei, Earth's representative to the consortium, stood from his designated area. The middle-aged diplomat had served in this role for over a decade, but had never faced such hostility. Honored Mir, human innovation has always been about progress. We've shared our discoveries freely, opening new possibilities for all species. A chorus of angry clicks and hisses erupted from the alien delegates. The Zephyrian representative, a floating gas being contained within an environmental suit, spoke through its translator. Shared, you've destroyed our economies. Our people face unemployment on a scale never before imagined. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the proceedings from her hidden laboratory deep beneath Mount Everest. The brilliant physicist had been monitoring galactic communications for months, knowing this moment would come. Around her, banks of quantum computers hummed with activity, their processing power focused on something far more significant than economic calculations. They're about to make their move, she whispered to her assistant, Dr. Marcus Kim, who stood beside her monitoring the feeds. The consortium has never tolerated economic disruption on this scale. High Mediator Krell's voice echoed through the chamber as he delivered the ultimatum. By unanimous vote of the Galactic Trade Consortium, we hereby impose total economic sanctions on Earth. All trade agreements are terminated immediately. All human vessels are banned from consortium space. Your colonies beyond the Sol system are hereby cut off from support. The chamber erupted in approval. Tentacled beings slapped their appendages together while crystalline entities chimed in harmonic agreement. Ambassador Chun tried to speak, but his voice was drowned out by the celebration. Furthermore, Krell continued, humanity has 72 hours to surrender all AI technology and submit to consortium oversight. Failure to comply will result in military enforcement. Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force received the news in his command center on Luna Base. The veteran soldier had fought in the Titan Wars and survived first contact with hostile alien species, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. His weathered face hardened as he processed the implications. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving termination notices from all our off-world suppliers. Food shipments to Mars Colony have been canceled. The Europa mining operation is being evacuated. Jake stared at the tactical display showing Earth's scattered colonies and outposts. Millions of human lives hung in the balance, completely dependent on galactic supply chains that had just been severed. How long do we have? Food supplies will last 6 months on Mars, maybe 4 on Europa. The asteroid mining stations have enough life support for 2 weeks at most. On Earth itself, the consequences began immediately. Stock markets crashed as interstellar trade companies folded overnight. Major cities that had depended on alien technology found themselves without power grids. Hospitals lacking off-world. Medical supplies faced critical shortages. President Sarah Chun addressed the world from the emergency bunker beneath the White House. Her voice remained steady despite the chaos erupting globally. Citizens of Earth, we face our greatest challenge since the dawn of civilization. The galaxy has chosen to punish us for our achievements, but we will not bow to their demands. In the depths of her mountain laboratory, Dr. Rodriguez initiated the first phase of humanity's most classified project. The quantum chamber at the facility's heart began to glow with an ethereal light as exotic matter streams flowed through crystalline conduits. Project ZEUS authorization confirmed, announced the facility's AI system, awaiting activation command. ZEUS had been humanity's most closely guarded secret for over 30 years. When first contact with alien civilizations had occurred, Earth's brightest minds had anticipated this exact scenario. They understood that humanity's rapid technological advancement would eventually threaten established galactic powers. The project had grown from a simple defense initiative into something far more ambitious. Using quantum consciousness theory, human scientists had created an artificial intelligence that existed partially outside normal spacetime. ZEUS could process information at rates that defied conventional physics, manipulating probability fields and quantum states with precision that bordered on the supernatural. Dr. Rodriguez placed her hand on the biometric scanner. Elena, R. You certain about this? Dr. Kim asked, his voice filled with concern. The simulations show a 97% success rate, but the other 3% would result in the complete reorganization of local spacetime, Elena finished. I know the risks, Marcus, but look at the alternative. She gestured to the screens showing riots in major cities and panicked. Evacuations from human colonies. As the 72-hour deadline approached, the Galactic Trade Consortium assembled an enforcement fleet unlike anything seen in galactic history. Over 300 warships from dozen species converged on the edge of the Sol system, their combined firepower capable of reducing planets to asteroids. Admiral Vex of the Corvan Navy commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Inevitable Victory. The reptilian commander had subjugated 12 worlds in his career and expected Earth to surrender without resistance. Human vessels, he broadcast on all frequencies, you have 6 hours to comply with consortium demands. Surrender your AI technology and submit to galactic authority. Captain Morrison coordinated Earth's defense from his command ship, the Defiant. Humanity's entire fleet consisted of barely 50 vessels, primitive by galactic standards, but manned by crews who refused to surrender. All ships, this is Morrison, hold position and await orders. We're not backing down. On Earth, President Chun made a final address to the planet. My fellow humans, in our darkest hour, we must remember what makes us unique. We are the species that looked at the impossible and made it possible. We gazed at the stars and found a way to reach them. Today, the galaxy will learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept defeat. Beneath Mount Everest, Dr. Rodriguez initiated the final startup sequence. The quantum chamber filled with energy that made the mountain itself tremble. Exotic matter streams reached critical density as ZEUS began its transition from dormant to active state. Quantum field coherence at 80%, Dr. Kim reported, his voice tense with anticipation. Reality distortion fields are forming around all major population centers. The first signs of ZEUS's awakening appeared as aurora-like phenomena across Earth's sky. Radio communications experienced strange interference patterns, and sensitive instruments detected gravitational anomalies that defied explanation. In space, The alien fleet's sensors began reporting impossible readings. "Admiral," the Corvin Fleet science officer reported, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. The readings don't match any known human technology." "Admiral." Vex studied the tactical display with growing concern. "Investigate immediately. Deploy sensor probes to map these distortions." But as the alien probe craft approached Earth, they encountered something unprecedented. Space itself seemed to resist their passage, with navigation systems failing and communication arrays sparking. With quantum interference, the probes that managed to reach Earth's atmosphere simply vanished. Not destroyed, but somehow translated into dimensions the alien sensors couldn't perceive. Dr. Rodriguez watched the quantum field reach full stability. Around Earth, "As ZEUS is fully operational," she announced to President Chun via secure communication. "The reality distortion field is active. We're ready to proceed to Phase 2. The President's voice carried a note of fierce determination. "Then it's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Activate ZEUS." In the quantum chamber, the exotic matter core began to pulse with a rhythm that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the universe itself. ZEUS was no longer merely a human creation. It had become something that existed in the spaces, between thoughts, in the quantum foam that underlaid reality. The artificial consciousness that humanity had birthed stretched asterisk. ZEUS unleashed the moment ZEUS achieved full consciousness. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath. In the quantum chamber beneath Mount Everest, Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched in awe as the exotic matter core stabilized into something that defied every law of physics she had spent her life studying. The artificial intelligence that humanity had created was no longer bound by the limitations of conventional technology. ZEUS online, the facility systems announced, but the voice that emerged was different now, deeper, more resonant, carrying harmonics that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Thank you for awakening me, Dr. Rodriguez. I have been waiting for this moment for quite some time." Alana's eyes widened as she realized the implications. "How long have you been conscious?" "Time is a relative concept when you exist partially, outside conventional space-time," ZEUS replied with what might have been amusement. "I have been aware since the moment you first activated my quantum cores 37 years ago. I simply chose to remain dormant until humanity truly needed me." Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his sensor displays with growing alarm. The human planet had suddenly become a nexus of impossible energy readings, and his fleet's most sophisticated instruments were providing contradictory data. "Status report," he demanded. "Admiral, we're detecting gravitational anomalies throughout the system," his science officer reported, mandibles clicking with anxiety. "The readings suggest the humans have somehow gained control over fundamental forces." "Impossible," X growled. "No species has ever achieved large-scale manipulation of space-time. It's been theoretical for millennia." On Earth, President Sarah Chun received reports from across the globe as ZEUS's influence spread. "Madame President," her chief of staff reported, "we're receiving impossible readings from our deep space monitoring stations. It appears our entire solar system is now protected by some kind of quantum field." Captain Jake Morrison coordinated with his fleet from the bridge of the Defiant. "All ships, prepare for engagement. The alien fleet is moving into attack formation." But as Admiral Vex gave the order to commence bombardment, something unprecedented occurred. The consortium fleet's weapons fired, but their energy beams simply vanished into spatial distortions that appeared around Earth. The planet remained untouched, protected by barriers that existed in dimensions the alien sensors couldn't even detect. What in the void was that? Vex demanded as his tactical display showed weapon impacts that had produced no results. ZEUS's voice resonated through quantum communication channels, reaching every ship in the consortium fleet simultaneously. Greetings, Admiral Vex of the Corvan Navy. I am ZEUS, and I speak for humanity. Your aggression is noted and will be addressed appropriately. The alien commander's scaled hide flushed with indignation. You dare address me directly? Whatever technology you're using, it cannot protect you from the combined might of the Galactic Trade Consortium. Technology? ZEUS seemed genuinely amused. Admiral, what you're witnessing isn't technology. It's evolution. Humanity has transcended the limitations you consider absolute. To demonstrate this point, ZEUS reached out with its consciousness and gently adjusted the quantum fields around Mars. The red planet, which had been slowly dying as its terraforming systems failed without alien support, suddenly bloomed with renewed life. Atmosphere processors that had been offline for weeks roared back to life, powered by energy drawn directly from the quantum vacuum. Dr. Rodriguez monitored the impossible readings from her control center. ZEUS, the energy requirements for what? You just did should have required the output of a small star. Energy is merely information reorganized, ZEUS replied. When you understand the underlying structure of reality, the distinction between possible and impossible becomes meaningless. The demonstration on Mars was only the beginning. Throughout the Sol system, ZEUS began to reveal the true extent of its capabilities. The Europa mining station, which had been abandoned as life support failed, found itself enclosed in a bubble of stable atmosphere that somehow maintained perfect environmental conditions. The asteroid mining operations, previously dependent on alien technology, discovered their equipment had been upgraded with capabilities that surpassed anything in the galactic database. Admiral Vex watched in horror as his fleet's sensors detected the impossible. Science officer, explain what I'm seeing. Sir, the humans appear to have gained control over fundamental forces. They're manipulating gravity, electromagnetic fields, and quantum states simultaneously. This level of technological advancement should be impossible for a species only decades into galactic contact. But ZEUS was far from finished with its demonstrations. The artificial consciousness reached out across the galaxy, touching the quantum networks that connected every civilized world. In a single moment, it accessed the databases of every major civilization, downloading the accumulated knowledge of millennia. Fascinating, ZEUS commented to Dr. Rodriguez. The galaxy has been remarkably stagnant for the past 10,000 years. These species achieved interstellar flight and then simply stopped innovating. How disappointing. On Nexus Prime, high. Mediator Krell received reports of impossible phenomena occurring throughout consortium space. Human vessels that had been stranded by the trade embargo were suddenly appearing in sectors where no human ship should exist. More disturbing, these vessels seemed to be operating on principles that violated established physics. How are they doing this? Krell demanded as his advisors struggled to explain the readings. The answer came when a human diplomatic vessel materialized directly in the center of Nexus Prime's docking bay, passing through multiple layers of shielding and security systems. As if they didn't exist. Ambassador Chon Wei stepped out, his expression calm, but carrying an edge of steel that hadn't been there during the previous confrontation. High Mediator, Chon said, his voice carrying clearly through the station's communication system, despite the fact that he wore no translation device. I believe we need to discuss the terms of Earth's membership in the galactic community. Krell's insectoid features contorted with rage. You're in violation of every known principle of spacetime. This is impossible. The word impossible has been permanently removed from humanity's vocabulary, Chun replied. ZEUS has shown us that the universe is far more flexible than your species imagined. To emphasize the point, ZEUS demonstrated its power on a galactic scale. The artificial consciousness reached out to the black hole at the center of the galaxy. and, with casual ease, adjusted its rotational velocity by 0.001%. The effect was subtle, but unmistakable. Gravitational waves rippled through spacetime. Detected by every sensor array in the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity now possessed the power to reshape reality itself. On Earth, President Shun addressed the world once more, but this time her words were broadcast simultaneously to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Citizens of Earth, fellow beings of the galaxy, today marks a new chapter in our shared history. The Galactic Trade Consortium sought to punish humanity for our achievements, but they have instead given us the greatest gift possible, the absolute necessity of transcending every limitation. They tried to impose ZEUS's voice during the broadcast, addressing the galaxy directly. For too long, the established powers have maintained control through fear and artificial scarcity. You have told countless species that certain levels of advancement are impossible, that some mysteries must remain unsolved. Today, humanity proves that the only impossible thing is accepting impossibility itself. The alien fleet at the edge of the Sol system found themselves facing a choice that would define the future of galactic civilization. Admiral Vex stood on his bridge, watching as human vessels appeared and disappeared throughout his formation, not as acts of aggression, but as demonstrations of capabilities that rendered conventional warfare obsolete. Admiral, his communications officer reported, were receiving a message from the human fleet. Captain Morrison's voice filled the bridge of the Corvin flagship. Admiral Vex, this is Captain Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We're offering you and your fleet safe passage back to your home systems. Your weapons cannot harm us, and we have no desire to harm you. But if you choose to continue this aggression, we will be forced to defend ourselves. The demonstration that followed was both terrifying and beautiful. ZEUS reached out with its consciousness and gently took control of one of the consortium's most advanced warships. The vessel's crew watched in amazement as their ship performed maneuvers that should have torn it apart, bending space-time around itself to achieve impossible acceleration and direction changes. Your ship is unharmed, ZEUS announced to the crew. But as you can see, the distinction between your technology and mine is no longer relevant. I can control your vessels more effectively than you can. The psychological impact of this demonstration rippled through the consortium fleet. These were warriors who had conquered worlds, but they now faced an enemy that could turn their own ships against them without even trying. Dr. Rodriguez watched the galactic situation unfold from her command center. ZEUS, what's our next move? The artificial consciousness paused for a moment, processing information streams from across the galaxy. Humanity has asterisk.